Hi. It's really good to see you. Really good. Give me a minute. I just want to see you for a minute. Hey. Thank you, Harry. Before I start, I'm conscious of time. And first of all, I really have to say how unbelievable this is. They don't do this in London. I want to thank Bobby and the SCA committee, the board, for everything that they do and have done. We're not always aware of the work. And the work has been not only full force, it's been with full heart. And I really have to say that it's been such a tremendous honor to be able to work with them. And I'm very grateful to them for asking me to come and share with you. And I do want to say, before I begin, how thankful I am to all of you for being here. The past week has been wonderful. And for those of you who attended, I want you to know that even if I didn't get a chance to say hello, or there was a difficulty to be able to connect, I saw you. And I really thank you for being there. And I thank you all for being here this afternoon. It's daunting, I have to say, it's daunting when you know that you're going to be speaking to a room full of people who, the most precious thing that we can give anyone is our attention. It's the most precious thing you can give anyone. Especially today when attention is at a premium, when we are fighting to have attention from people. We're doing everything we can, so I don't take it lightly at all. And I very much thank you for your attention, for your time, and for your love. So I want to share something with you this afternoon that comes from that place. It comes from the place in my heart, from my heart to yours. It's something that is very important to me in my life, very important to how it is that I live my life, how I understand my avodah, my service of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And it's just something that I want to share with you. I hope that it will help. I hope that something from it you will be able to take and put into your own heart, and to be able to live something better by it. It's about noticing, as you can tell. You might have noticed. I find it very hard, personally. I find it very difficult to notice life happening around me. It is one of my greatest challenges. My children will tell you. Sometimes I have a very hard time noticing them as well. So it has been one of the great endeavors of my life to try and develop and to strengthen. And so I'm going to let some people come in. I'm noticing that I'm being a bit distracted. It has everything to do with Tish'a BeAb, in my opinion. It has everything to do with Tish'a BeAb. And what I'm going to, it's fascinating. And what I'm going to do with you for this hour is to show you how it has to do with Tish'a BeAb, what are the elements that we learn, and how it is perhaps that we can take it with us through our lives. The moed, the time of Tish'a BeAb, there. Is this working? Not working. Is it working? No, not down. Did I shut it? There we go. You know what? Victor, can you do it from there? I'm just going to signal you, okay? The moed Tish'a BeAb, the time, the appointed time of Tish'a BeAb, this appointment that we have in our calendar, like all the others, like Pesach, like Shavuot, like Sukkot, like Rosh Hashanah, like Kippur, Tish'a BeAb is a moed. It is an appointment that we have with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with God, in our calendar. The uniqueness about this one is that it centers on Avelut. Whereas Pesach is about Herut, it's about freedom. Sukkot is about Simcha, it's about happiness. Shavuot is about our Torah. Rosh Hashanah is about Deen, judgment and justice. And Kippur is about atonement and wholeness and forgiveness. This day, yesterday, that we celebrate this day, is about Avelut, which means, in its literal sense, mourning. But that word comes from something deeper. There's a deeper root to it. And so I want to bring us back to basics. The root of the word Avelut is Aval. It's 3 letters, Aleph, Bet, Lamed. Aval. In modern Hebrew, that word, of course, means however. So you'll be saying to somebody, well, we've got to go here and here tomorrow. Aval, however, we've got this other situation going on. That's what it means in modern Hebrew. If you read it as it's presented in Torah, or for that matter, the Talmud, good example of this that a Talmid of mine, David Weitzman, showed me, in Eruvin Lamed, it says several times, the Hakamim are talking to each other here about an issue in Eruv, and the one Hakam says something, and the response to that is, Aval. Amru lo Aval. They said to him, Aval. What is that? There's nothing following it. They don't say Aval something, they just say Aval, period. Rashi, Aval, one word next to it. What's that word? Emet. Truth. So the nature of this day is very much about truth. Why is truth so deeply connected to mourning? Because it shakes us. It's something about reality that we lose, that we had been accustomed to, that we felt was very much part of us, that we lose, very often suddenly. And we have to deal with that loss, which is, for all intents and purposes, a change in reality, and therefore a change of truth. What is truthfully going on in my life right now is very different than what was going on before the occurrence that hit me this way. The experience of Avelut is the accepting of, the noticing of that change in reality. You with me? The accepting of that change in reality is what we call Avelut, roughly translated into English mourning. So especially when these things are hard for us, when they're difficult for us, we don't like to look at them. We sometimes involuntarily will not look at them. We will not allow for the truth or reality that is hitting me to penetrate. So like President Reagan said, don't be afraid to see what you see. Profound statement. You're seeing it. It's coming through. Don't be afraid to see it. That has very much to do with the nature of Tish'a BeAb. Very much to do, because we don't have an ability on Tish'a BeAb to close our eyes and look away. The entire thrust of the day is, don't be afraid to see what you see. It may be painful to look at. It may be hard for us to be able to see it and accept it. Don't be afraid to see it. Next. So, what we have is a situation in which we start our life with whatever it is that we know. And if there's at any point in our life, and it hits every single one of us in some way or another, at any point in our life, what we end up having is loss. We are saved from something, or we are pulled out of something that we would rather not be saved from. We find ourselves free of something. Now, you look at freedom, and we generally tend to see that word as a positive, but the fact of the matter is that I am held by something in my life, many things, perhaps, in my life, and suddenly I'm freed of that thing. That may be good or bad, in terms of my initial experience, but it isn't there for me anymore. And what that causes for us are many uncomfortable feelings. It causes us loneliness. It causes us anxiety. It causes us doubt. And it causes us, ultimately, a feeling of being lost. It causes us loneliness because the things that used to be the underpinnings of my life, the way that I thought about my life, the circumstances in which I understood my life, is pulled away from me. And so there's loss in that, and in that there's loneliness. Because I no longer feel connected to what I was once connected to. And that, of course, creates anxiety. It creates a feeling in me in which I'm anxious because I just don't know how things are anymore. I knew how they were when they were this way, but I don't know necessarily how it is that they're running now. Or, for that matter, how it is that they're going to run. When you live in a world where things are changing at lightning speeds, and the things that you knew are changing daily, practically, the anxiety hits the roof. Because how do I know that what I hold today is going to be what I hold tomorrow? Doubt ensues. Because I can't be sure that what I know today is what I'm going to know tomorrow. That's always been the case, by the way. It's always been the case. It's just that things have changed in a slower pace. So we kind of hold on to whatever we've got now for a little bit longer than we're used to. But when things start to change quickly, over and over and over again, doubt rises. Because I'm just not sure how it is that I'm supposed to deal with it. I believe that this plays a major factor in the extremism that we're seeing in the world today. Why? Because when you don't know what's going on, when you're not sure how it is that things are going to develop, you dig your heels into what you know. It's what I know, it's what used to work, it's what I'm going for. And you hold hard on that. You don't listen to anything else. So all of this is in the water for us. And this is what's supposed to be in the water for us today. I'm sure we all look forward to it. But it's there. So how are we supposed to deal with this? How do we deal with it? What is the right way to deal with it? What is the less preferred way to deal with it? So I want to take you back. I want to look at it first from a perspective of Torah. Where is the earliest occurrence of this day? The earliest occurrence of this day, you might have heard in some of the classes that you've been to today, maybe some of the classes earlier this week, maybe some on Shabbat. The earliest occurrence of this day is the Rabbi, spies that were sent by Moshe into the land of Israel so that they should see, it's a reconnaissance mission, so that they should be able to see what it was that was going on over there. They should be able to report back and tell Moshe and the people how it is that it was running over there. And they come back and there's a disastrous report. Everybody has a complete breakdown. It's a meltdown, pandemonium. Right? But that's not where the mourning happens. There's actual mourning that happens at that first Tish'a BeAb. You know where that happens? When Moshe gets the people together and he says, look, so I've spoken to God about the whole thing. He's not pleased. This is what's going to go down. So he spent 40 days there. He's decided that he's going to do a year for each day. Yom Lashana. Yom Lashana. A day will equal a year There will be a year for every day that you spend there that we will roam this desert. There's more. There's more. He's also not happy with the current cohort. He believes that the current cohort will simply not be able to make it in the new land. They have so mentally rejected the possibility of being able to go into that land that they're just not going to be able to do it. So unfortunately, over the course of the 40 years, the people that are over 20 years old from today are going to die. And your children, that you would incidentally say would be taken captive by the enemy in that land, they're the ones that will inherit it. They'll be able to make a life there. So this is the plan. The response to that, the response to that is this. You see in the bold over there, right? וידבר משה את הדברים האלה אל כל בני ישראל, ויתאבלו העם מאוד. There is the abelut. What Moshe has just told him is what I told you. They've just heard this, and their response to hearing that is abelut. They realize that God has just made a decree. And the decree is not what they were hoping for. They just went, literally, they're standing at the threshold, they can step over and everything will be nice, and now you're telling me that it's not one day, not two, not a year, 40 years, we're going to have to run through this entire thing until we're able to get back, and most of us are not going to see it. That's a heavy blow. So what do they do? Imagine the feeling. Imagine what's been taken. They're right there, and it's taken from them. They cannot walk through it. It will not happen. There is going to be a completely new process that we run through as a result of it. Imagine, try, put yourself into the place of those people at the time. What are they feeling? We've got to recover this somehow. Somehow we can make this work. So what do? They go to Moshe and they say, you know what? We were thinking about it. We're good. We can go in. That's what's up here. They go over, they got up in the morning, second line. You know what? We'll go up. We're going. Moshe said, it's not a good idea. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not interested in the plan. He's not behind this. I wouldn't do this if I were you. They're like, no, this is going to be great. It's going to be great. You'll see. Yeah, he says, Al ta'alu ki en Adonai b'kirbechem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not with you. There's Amalekim, by the way, that are down there. Kna'anim, by the way, that are down there. I'm not sure that you necessarily want to do this. The people hear this, and nonetheless, second to last line, Vaya'apilu la'alot el rosh ha'ar va'aron berit Adonai Moshe lo mashu mekeru machaneh. They push forward. They run through. The Aaron stays with Moshe. Moshe is moved. They run through, and they are annihilated. Pulverized. Literally, that's what Vayaketum means. Vayaketum means pulverize them. Kanaani and Amaleki destroy the people that try to come over. But we do that, don't we? I mean, the feeling of anxiety and doubt and emptiness and loss is so profound that you will do anything that you can just to recover it, just to make sure that it's right. But the answer that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving to the people is, no, this is going to take some time. And there's going to be a specific program that we run. Because it's not just a matter of time. It's a matter of learning how it is that it is best to run through this world. So there's this amazing system that HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts in place. Now, the truth, to be honest, it's put into the Torah before this happens. But it's so astonishing the way that it's said that you can recognize that it's setting up for a very long journey. And it's this. Next slide. This is one of the most, in my opinion, one of the most astonishing sections in the entire Torah. It makes absolutely no sense. I'm going to step back here and read it with you. Will you read it with me? Okay? Let's take you through this. This is about the clouds. There's a cloud that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sets over the Mishkan, over the tabernacle that's in the middle. And this, what you're seeing in front of you now, is the presentation of the system, of how it is that this cloud works. How does the cloud work? When it rises above the Mishkan, that's a signal. That signal tells you it's time to travel. When it rests, it tells you it's time to camp. You can relax. There is no pre-planning. You cannot get the under the table notes to when the cloud might be lifting next. None of that. And it goes out of its way. Look at what it says over here. Second line, look at the bold. Al pi Adonai Yisrael. The people traveled by the mouth of God. Al pi Adonai Yahanu, and by the mouth of God they camped. As long as the cloud was on top of the Mishkan, they stayed. If it lifted above the Mishkan, they moved. Ubharich anan Mishkan yamin Rabbi, third line. And when the cloud took time and set itself upon the Mishkan for many days, well, then they didn't move anywhere. Shamru b'nei Yisrael mishmeret Adonai. They sat there and kept watch the whole time. Bigesh. I mean, let's bring you into how this might have worked. Yeah? That, by the way, is enough. What I just told you, you got the system, no? I mean, you know how it works. Cloud rises, we go. Cloud rests, we rest. Simple enough. Look how many more lines there are up there. And the entire thing is telling me logistics. Yes, there is a situation where, the cloud might rest in a particular place for just a few days. Al pi Adonai Yisrael, all by the mouth of God. But yes, third to last line, it could happen, by the way, that the cloud might just stay over for overnight stay. That could happen too. Yomam v'layla could be a day and 2 days, a night maybe. Yeah, I get it. Right. No. Or, second to last line, Yomayim could be a 2-day stay. Chodesh could be a month stay. Yamim, maybe a little more than that. Yeah, I get it. No, you gotta know it. This is how it runs. Al pi Adonai Yahanu. Al pi Adonai Yisrael. It's Mishmeret Adonai Shamaru. Why is this the way that it tells it to us? It's saying to you, feel what they felt. This was not like a cloud rests and okay, we're here for another 30 days. You have no clue when you're traveling and when you're resting. And the only way you know what's going on is to do what? Watch. Pay attention. This runs for 40 years. The Sephorno, Rabbi Obadiah Sephorno, Rishon, has a beautiful pirush on this. He says it's like life. Life takes us this way. Sometimes we find ourselves in a beautiful place. And there were times where they were in oases. You find a beautiful place, you want to stick around for a while. It was only a 2-day stay. Sometimes there's situations in life which are really rough. You want to get out of there as quickly as possible. That one was a 4-month stay. You never knew. It was by God that you traveled. Let me tell you, that trains a people. It brings a people into a place in which the calluses on their hearts are worn down, and they must feel. They must see. They must pay attention. They cannot afford not to. This is how it is that they come into Eretz Yisrael. So what does that create? It creates a situation in which we pay tremendous attention to what's going on in the world around us. So we don't have clouds like this anymore. I don't know that we deserve them. It would be nice. But do you know what we do have? We have the world. We have life that is alive and responsive. And God, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if we are God-fearing people, if we are people that have a relationship with God, with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and who are we kidding? We are. We wouldn't be here today if we weren't that people. I don't care how much you keep or you don't right now. That's not the issue. Are you a member of Israel? If you're here, I'm imagining that you consider yourself a member. We have a special and unique relationship with God. It's something that you cannot deny. You can pretend not to see what you see. But it is real. And it is running for 4,000 years from the days of our grandfather Abraham. And it touches every single one of us, connected or not. That relationship runs. It is running. It continues to run. And I imagine, and I may be very brazen in saying this, I imagine that if you are here this afternoon, you feel that at least a bit. Otherwise, I can't imagine why you would be here. And I want to stop for a minute and say another thing. There are many people who aren't here. Not because there aren't enough seats. Because they just didn't come. There are people who just don't feel that it's something that they should be doing. That's part of us too. They're part of our people. And it has to concern us that that's just the situation. And I don't even mean concern us why they, that particular person is. But it has to concern us that us and our people, that that's what's going on with us. We have a relationship with God. And in that relationship we know that He is in this world. And that He walks with us. That was a promise that Moshe Rabbeinu demanded of God and HaKadosh Baruch Hu agreed to. He says to him, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is told by Moshe Rabbeinu, Halo v'lechtecha imanu. If you do not walk with us, al ta'alenu mizeh, then don't take us out of here. That's happening where? At the Golden Path. There's a negotiation that goes on. And Moshe says, if you are not going to walk with us through this life, we're not going to have you sitting back waiting for us to make it. You've got to walk with us. What say you? Moshe says. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu responds to him, Panay elecha. I'll go with you. That's not just for the desert sojourns. That's today. So we have every right in the world. We, Israel, for sure, have every right in the world to expect that God should speak to us through the life and world in which we live. And that we should watch it like our ancestors watched the cloud. So Rambam, if I can have him up, Rambam says, there's a mitzvah in the Torah to sound trumpets. That's what you're watching right now on the screen. There's a mitzvah to sound trumpets al kol tzara. Anytime there's a distressful thing that happens to Am Yisrael, we are commanded by the Torah to sound trumpets. Sound an alarm. Al atzara soreretchem v'are'otem ha'chatzoserot. If anything is going wrong, sound the alarm. So that you should call attention to the fact that something is going wrong. Now, many things can happen in life. Good things, bad things, pleasant things, unpleasant things. We're going to look at the unpleasant right now because Tish'a BeAb looks at the unpleasant. And do you know why Tish'a BeAb looks at the unpleasant? Because there's something about the unpleasant that do something to us in life, that have the potential to do something for us in life that nothing else does. And as difficult as they are, and painful as they are, and how much we resist their presence in our life, they have the opportunity to change us for the better. To pull things out buried inside of our hearts that would never otherwise be opened. But make no mistake, it is challenge par excellence. And we don't all make it. But it is always an opportunity. Always. So we sound the alarms so that we can begin to deal with the hardships. All of us are brought to attention so that we should see what it is that life is bringing to me. It may take me a long time to have to deal with what it is that it's telling me, how it is that I need to address this thing. But I am asked by the Torah, by God, to pay attention to it. Don't be afraid to see what you see. Live your life. Don't let it live you. Be bold in your life. And treat your life like a class so that it can teach you what you need to learn. Because the ultimate teacher is behind that, is the soul of all of that. Behind all of it is God. So Rabbi says, you know what happens when you don't sound the alarms? When you're not called attention, when we don't respond, when we don't want to see it, when we don't look at what it is that's coming to us in our lives. The next slide. He says, you become achzar. It's a path of achzariyut. It's a very strange word that he uses in Hebrew. You know what that word means in modern day Hebrew? What does it mean? Mean. When we want to say that somebody's mean, vicious, you say they're achzar. It's a very strange word to use because what Harambam is saying is if you don't sound the alarms, people say, you know, this is what happens in the world. It's not God talking to me. My life is not speaking to me. My life is not a class. The things that happen in this world that touch me aren't really talking to me. They're just out there. I'm here. It's out there. We bump into each other every now and then. It's really annoying much of the time. But it's not me. It's not me being an integral part of the world and the world part of my life. And the meshing of the two, and the molding of the two, and the evolution of the two is what makes me. If I don't have the attention to that, if I am afraid to see what it is that I'm seeing, I become mean. In what sense? The Hachamim say the word is split into two. Ach, zar, which means it's all foreign. Zar is foreign. It's all foreign. It's not me. It's not my life. It's a generic life that I'm living. A generic world that is happening around me. And every now and then I dip in. You know what that does to us? It makes us live life behind glass. And although you might be able to see what's going on the other side, you can't feel it. You can't touch it. And it doesn't touch you. And as a result of that, we lose our empathy. We lose the faculty inside of us that allows us to feel what other people feel, what the world might feel, what I'm feeling even. We lose our capacity to feel. And when we lose our capacity to feel, we don't know how to be kind anymore. Because we don't see that others are of my kind. It's just me. You know what this day does? This day says, strip away the comforts for this day. Whatever comforts you are padding yourself with, normally in life, and let's be honest, we all do. For me, it's coffee. I drink a tremendous amount of coffee. Right? And that's just the benign one. Go ahead. Think of yours. What do you pad your life with? What are the things that we have to do, in our life? Bring it up. What do you pad your life with? So there are 5 things. Let's go to the next one. 5 things that the Torah tells us. We don't eat today, we don't drink today, we don't bathe today, we don't anoint ourselves today. Then put that up there. We don't have to wear our leather shoes today, no intimacy today. We barely greet each other today. Why? Is it just to suffer? I mean, we're just meant to sit here suffering? No. The Torah is not interested in us suffering. It's a deprivation. And we deprive ourselves in order that we should be able to feel. Because we can hide ourselves at lunch. We can hide ourselves at the spa. We can hide ourselves shopping. We can hide ourselves in our relationships that we bury ourselves into, or that we make dramas out of. We use all of those things so that we don't have to see what we see, feel what we feel. And Tish'a BeAb says, take it all away. Take it all away. Sit on the floor. Don't say hello. Recognize that there's something that you need to feel. There's something that we need to see here. And that is what we take with us from Tish'a BeAb, because it's important to realize every single moed that we have, all of them, Pesach, Shavuot, you're supposed to take something from it. It's not just, okay, we did it, see you later, see you next year. Next year we're trying to do it on a whole other level. That's really the way that we're supposed to do it. So what do I take from? What elements of freedom do I take from Pesach? Here on Tish'a BeAb we have to ask ourselves, what elements of feeling, of attention, of acknowledging a truth am I taking with me from Tish'a BeAb? So, don't get me wrong, enjoy dinner tonight. But what can we take with us that will help me feel a little bit more tomorrow morning? That will help me be more sensitive, to pay attention to the cloud when it rises in my life, or when it sets in my life, or when things are happening in my life that I really need to pay attention to, because it is my life. And it is ultimately the connection that I have with God. It's our only connection. Of course, the study of Torah. But the study of Torah is not studied in a vacuum. The study of Torah is not studied in a lab somewhere. The study of Torah is Torah Hayim. It's a Torah that we live by. It's a Torah that we have to bring into everything we do and every day that we live. And we can't be afraid to see what we see. Even in our study. What do we take with us from Tish'a BeAb to help us? It's important for us to remember that all of this, the deprivations, everything, are also that we can engage in more robust, more deep, more healthy relationships to the world itself and to our own lives, and ultimately to God. And it's important for us to remember that there is nobody rooting for us more than Him. We forget that too. We sometimes remind, we tend to think of God as, He's just waiting to get us. Can't wait to see what they're going to do wrong this day. How many of us have this image of God? Of course God judges. We want Him to. If He didn't, it would mean that He didn't care. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't say, I wish God didn't care enough to judge what it is that I'm doing and to pay attention to what it is that I'm doing, and at the same time to actually be interested in my life. It's one or the other. I mean, if He cares, then it's going to make a difference to Him how it is that you live and what it is that you choose and the paths that you engage in life. And of course it's going to mean something to Him. That's what we want. Sometimes it's too close for comfort, granted. But at the end of the day, when push comes to shove, and you are asked, would you prefer that your God pay attention to your life and care about you, or treat you as being indifferent? I would hope that the majority of us would choose. It may be uncomfortable sometimes, And it may be a tremendous responsibility sometimes, but what relationship that matters is not a responsibility. It may be a responsibility sometimes, but I would hope that the majority of us in our lucid moments would say, yes, I want him to pay attention. And I want what I do to matter to him. And so you know what the Hachamim tell us about that? They say, Habali tahem mese'arim oto. Masechet Shabbat. That's an open invitation to all of Israel. You want to purify? You want to bring your life into wholeness, into clarity? All of the universe will help you. It doesn't say even that God helps you. I mean, it's understood, of course. I mean, who else if not him? It says, Misayarim oto. They help you. Who's they? You know, the cosmos. They help you. That's the commitment that the Hachamim make to us. And it's not that they're negotiating it. They're just saying, listen, you know, it's been told to us, it's passed down, we've seen it in our lives, we're handing it over to you. We know it enough that we can say to you, if you genuinely want your life to be clear and pristine and beautiful, and you want it to look like turquoise water, untouched, on a bright day, and whether you get there or not, or whether the efforts it takes you, but it's what you aspire to, the entire universe conspires to help you. I believe that that's why this idea of Tihya HaMetim, of the revival of the dead, is so central to everything that we talk about. I mean, you wonder, it's a beautiful thing, but why so central? I mean, I would like to see my grandfather again. Don't get me wrong. But every Amidah, every single time I get up to pray to God, I can't begin my words without saying, next slide, V'ne'eman ata lahayot metim. Oh, you're definitely going to bring alive. It's all going to come alive. You know what that says in essence? The details of it are not important for us at this moment. But you know what the idea tells us? That God is committed to life, not death. That He is committed to your success, not your demise. That He is committed to your development and growth, not your reduction and failure. You can take that to the bank. And the only thing that allows us to fail is our own sense of that failure, our selling out to believing that that's the reality. Don't put that on God. The challenges may be formidable, yes. The pains may bring us to the point that we hit our knees because of it, yes. But don't underestimate the opportunities. And don't question that His interest ultimately is that we should all stand living. And that's the last thing that Moshe Rabbeinu, one of the last things he says to the people. He says, Anachnu ele kulanu hayim. We're all living today. Atem adivekim Adonai v'lechem, hayim pi v'lechem hayom. It's all about life for us. That's why we do the l'chaim. That's our cheer. So to end, what can we take with us? Let's talk about some practical things, shall we? Can I have the next one? Yeah, one, stay there. Stay there! I need a clicker. I'm kidding. It's the challenges of life. The first is yourself. Ourselves. The first one that we have to pay attention to is our bodies. Let's start as local as it gets, yeah? We live in our bodies. What do we do to pay attention to our bodies? That's where it starts. Before we even looking at the clouds. How is your body working? What elements of it can you hold? I'll tell you what I do. Again, I'm sharing. Maybe I'm sharing too much. You can let me know if it's TMI. Anyway, It wouldn't be the first time. So I do yoga. I've been doing it for 4 years. I do other things, like tennis, body weight exercise. But yoga for me is the most important. And it's for me. I'm not saying that you should do this. You know why for me it's the most important? Because it roots my mind in my body. For me. It's what it does for me. And every morning I can feel and do a scan, just by doing the poses that I do, where my body is in space. I notice what's hurting, what's tight, what's flexible, what's healthy, what might not be. What about our minds? How's your mind doing? Maybe right now, not so great. You need a baby. I don't know. But in the same way that we catch the flu or even have a cold, and we are not afraid to say, I'm not feeling well today, it goes for our mind. Mental illness is not just schizophrenia. We could be having a cold with our mind. I'm just not thinking right. I'm not thinking straight. Maybe it's something as simple as your diet, and you just have to eat something today in order for you to be able to think straight. Maybe something else is going on that's causing your mind not to think in optimal levels. That's what it means to be human. Are you aware of it? Are you hearing people say something about it? Maybe more than one? Check. Notice. Pay attention. How are your emotions going? Do you have a pit in your stomach? Is your chest tight? Are you sleeping? All of these things is avodah. This is service. This is part of our relationship with God, our lives, and the world. How are we meant to engage in a full engaging relationship, in really understanding our lives, if the thing in which we live, our body, we don't even pay attention to? Our mind, the very faculty that we use to engage and process everything that's going on. Don't we have to make sure that that's running at as optimal levels as we can have them? That's what we take from Tish'a BeAb. And I'm telling you, this is not just some newfangled idea. The point of Tish'a BeAb is abal, emet. Notice what's happening. And if you can't notice what's happening on your own, do not eat, do not drink, do not engage in distracting activities until you come to awareness of it. Then have lunch. Next. What's going on in the world? I call them tremors. Every now and then there are tremors. Every now and then you get tremors. Could be something as simple, you're playing tennis and the net collapses in the middle of the game. This happened to me this week. Ruins the game. You're not fixing that right away, you know. What do? You planned, you got dressed, you got your back, I mean the whole thing, right? Could be something as minor as that. Could be something major that changes your life from that point forward. Tremors occur to us every single day. And they give us an ability to not only be aware, but to wonder, what is it doing to hit me? What is it doing to me? Somebody said something to me that insulted me. I can carry on with my life, but there's stuff that goes on in my mind as a result of it. There's stuff that goes on in my body as a result of it. Do I just hold it and carry on, or do I pause and say, what am I saying to myself? What am I feeling as a result of that? Am I putting space between what it is that I'm feeling and what it is that I'm thinking, so I can kind of assess it? Yeah, it's a high maintenance life. And I'm not suggesting that we leave here and we incorporate all of these things. Can you take one to try and practice with? Can you take one thing from Tish'a BeAb? One element of the aval, of the avidut, of the emet, of the circumstance, and allow yourself to feel it, to know it, to live your life not behind some styrofoam walls, but to allow your heart to feel the flow of what it is that's sitting up against you. Even if you don't want to see it, and you don't want to feel it, and you don't want it to happen, you didn't ask for it to happen, but it's happening to you in your life, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is speaking to you. Can you work on hearing what it is that he's saying? And finally, in our relationship with others, that's the last thing. Can we be courageous? Which simply means, can we bring our whole hearts into that? Courageous is from kur, like corazon, the heart. Can you engage with people with your whole heart? Can you try? Can you make it a goal? It's true. I can tell you, there were times in my life I couldn't do it. I couldn't even do it a little bit. There were reasons for that. But I made it a goal. And it took a tremendous amount of work. And who knows if I'm there. But it's a goal in my life. That when I interact with people, especially people that I love, like people in this room, everyone in this room, honestly, my family, my community, I want to be present with them. I want to be able to hear what they tell me when they say to me, the things that they say to me about their children, about their marriages, about their losses, about their challenges, about their businesses. I can't tell you what it means, the humbling honor that it is, that you share those things with me. I want to be able to treasure them. I want to be able to hold them and feel them. And not just say, yeah, I'm a rabbi, I'm unshockable, I heard it all. Which is true. But I don't want to be unshockable in the sense that it really doesn't matter what you tell me. And the life that you're living doesn't touch me anymore. The life that you're living is being lived in the world that I share with you. And in our circumstance, in our context, it's being lived in connection. I know I'm in London. I get security briefings from Bobby every day. I know what's happening because I love you and I care. And I'm working abroad because there's work to do. Because we're a family. And the Jews that are living there are our brothers and sisters. And they've gone through difficulties like we have. And they want to find the same things you do. And they question their relationship with God like you do. And they want their shul to be strong like you do. And they want their children to be healthy and successful like you do. And they want the Jewish people to thrive like I imagine you do. What can you take? If not to put in practice, what can you make your goal? Take that from Tish'a BeAb. Because when we do that and when we live like that, life becomes less of a blind side. And yes, there are tremors, but they begin to be communications. You begin to walk through this world with God. You begin to genuinely feel the world communicate with you. Not because you're crazy, because you've opened yourself. You've allowed yourself to see it, and feel it, and hear it. And if you question me, yes, you. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was interested in a personal relationship with you. That's how it's always been. And the mode of communication is the life and world and the relationships in which we engage. And the more that we are open to feeling them, and listening to them, and processing them, and hearing them, the more we are alive, and the more we engage with God. That's how you engage with God. Listen to Him. feel him, think him. His greatest expression is his world. He's the ultimate artist. And it is a tableau that is alive and responsive at all times. It's beautiful when you think of it. And that's why the Hachamim say this day will become the greatest Yom Tov that we've ever had, because it's the day that brings us into the greatest truths that we will ever know, if we allow it to. And with that, I will leave you with that and that.